It's 5 o'clock. Seeing that we have a quorum assembled, I will call the meeting to order and roll call.
Mayor Breeden.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Heyman.
Here.
Mr. Maurer.
Here.
We have 4 present. Ms. Stevens is absent.
Okay, we have an item to be added to the agenda, and I'm going to turn that over to Lloyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So before we approve the agenda, a matter has arisen that we want to add to the agenda before approval of the agenda. Now, as you recall, the rules for adding an item to the agenda, there's a 2-part test. There must be a need for immediate action that is before the next meeting, can't wait till the next meeting. And also, this must have come to the attention of the city after the posting of the agenda. So it can't just be a mistake that people forgot to put it on the agenda and now we're putting it on. It has to pass both of those tests. And it also must have a 2/3 vote of the members present. So we only have 4 members present now. So, Rika, do you agree 2/3 vote would be 3 of the 4?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if we had 5 members present, we'd need 4 votes to add the item. So I'll state the description. This is an item for closed session, by the way. I'll state it and I'll describe how it passes the test. And then whoever would like to make the motion to approve the agenda may say, motion to approve the agenda with the addition stated by the city attorney. So this is an item that we're adding to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2B2, and it requires the finding that there's a need for immediate action. This is a matter of potential litigation. Only came to the attention of staff since the posting of the agenda, so it could not have been included in the agenda, and it requires some direction before the next meeting, so that satisfies the need for immediate action. I'll leave it to whoever will make a motion.
Yeah, I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
And he's...
Do you just call or we're going to vote?
Are you ready back there? There you go. Please vote. Four ayes, 1 absent, and motion carries.
Okay, then we will go into closed session. Is there, I see no public comment, no public, and I assume you all are not going to make comments, so we will go. Okay, it being 6 o'clock, I will call the meeting back to order. And, thank you. And we will have the pledge. I'd like to lead us in the pledge, please.
I'll send it to you here right now.
Repeat with me, please. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll lead us in the prayer, please. Lord, be with us as we make these decisions today. Not everything is easy, not everything is perfect, but it'll be what it is with your guidance and your help. Give us open heart, open ears, and open minds. I thank you, Lord, and I ask this in your Son's name. Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we are going to have our attorney report out of closed session.
Closed session items are listed in the agenda. We did not complete in closed session, so we'll be reconvening after the end of the meeting, and that's when we'll report out.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask council to join us up at the podium, and we're going to ask a retiring employee to come forward, please. Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead. Yep.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me well? Okay, so I'm going to read a proclamation here. It's a proclamation of the City of Ridgecrest, California, in honor of Andy Podgorski, Ridgecrest PAC Coordinator, upon the occasion of his retirement. Whereas Andy began his part-time career with the city on October 24th, 2010, as the PAC Coordinator for the Ridgecrest Police Department. And whereas Andy worked a variety of assignments throughout his career, including overseeing the PAC program and volunteers, vehicle maintenance, operation of various PAC events, such as the annual Viewfinders Motocross, Burles and Cerro Coso graduations, Carnival, designated driver program, Petroglyph Festival, parades, other assignments designated by the Chief of Police, and whereas Andy was selected as Employee of the Year for the Ridgecrest Police Department in the year of 2017. And whereas Andy has retired after providing over 8 years of faithful and honorable service to our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest does hereby recognize and thank Ridgecrest Police PAC Coordinator Andy Podgorski for his professional and personal dedication to the City of Ridgecrest on the occasion of his retirement. Proclaimed December 19th, 2018, and signed by Mayor Peggy Breeden, Lindsay Stevens, Mayor Pro Tem, Wallace Martin, Vice Mayor, Mike Maurer, Council Member, and Scott Heyman, Council Member. Andy, please step forward.
Let me see. I've been waiting for this day. No, Andy and I have worked together a long time. For those of you that don't know, he was doing the Explorer program long before PACT. And without the Pogorskis back then, it would have been difficult. You know, they gave tons of hours, and they gave their lives to the city. So they should be commended. And just a small token, Andy, I'm going to miss you because now I don't know who I'm going to harass. So I'll call you. Yeah.
Now I gotta say something.
Yep.
Thanks. All I can say is it's been a good 8 years for me. Got a lot of good volunteers. They're all here. Just as a side note, I started, like I said, in 2010 till now, and the volunteers with the Explorers, not counting the reserves, and they put in over between 10,000 and 14,000 hours a year for free time for the city of Ridgecrest. So they put in hundreds of thousands of hours. When I first started, Mr. Strand was the chief. Him and the chief was actually the sergeant at the time. They hired me, and I said, sure, why not? Let's see what happens. And well, I lasted 8 years anyways. And it was a good run. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question. Can all of the PAC teams stand up and we get a picture of all of you together? And your family, who I know is part of it, even though they may not be PAC members, they put up PAC members. You're all PAC members. Okay, let's get you all together.
We sucked them all in.
They sucked me in.
Yeah. There's always one in the bunch.
We'll put text in the back. You're good. I'm kidding. Thanks, Chief.
Oh, sorry.
We'll give you all a minute to leave if you choose to, and that way we won't interfere with it. Thank you all. Okay, the next item is public comment, and I am asking our attorney to address that for us, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is the time when the public has an opportunity to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction, things that the council has the ability to do, but that don't already appear on the agenda. So if you are here to speak on something that's on the agenda, please wait until public comment for that particular item. Under the Brown Act, the council may not take action on an item that does not appear on this agenda. So if you are speaking about something during this public comment period, council may not be able to act on it. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes, and the entire public comment section is limited to 1 hour, and each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. I just wanted to comment on a couple of things. Keep in mind that public comment is always a balance between giving people the opportunity to speak and having an orderly meeting so that the city council can do what it's here to do, which is to get business done. So what works against that is disruptions. So just asking for two things at any public comment period throughout this meeting. First, please only come up to the podium when the mayor invites public comment, which we're about to launch into right now. So there's no public comment on the Pledge of Allegiance. Just when the mayor says it is now the public comment period, that's when it takes place. And the second thing is if you see someone speaking and no one's in line behind them, it saves a lot of time if the next person or the next 2 or 3 people get up in line, so that it's just respectful of everyone's time if we don't have to wait for someone to cross the room to walk over to the podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there any public comment, please? I'm assuming since we see no one come up, there is no public comment. Okay, we will come to council announcements. Council? Let's start down here. Lindsay, you want to go first?
I have nothing.
Lois? Scott?
No comments.
Mike? I would like to make sure that everyone remembers that there's a free community dinner Christmas Day. Those of you who would like to attend, it is at the Knights of Columbus at 725 West Ridgecrest Boulevard, 12 to 4 p.m. They're asking if you could call between 1 and 3 p.m. on Christmas Day, 375-8001, to arrange a meal for delivery if you are homebound, and this is sponsored by the Knights of Columbus and the Catholic community. So I thank all who make that happen. It's a tremendous giving effort by many people, and I hope you can participate. Okay, no other council?
Mayor, may I add to that, please?
Yes, sir. I really don't like to do that because that's not fair to everybody, but we will do it because I know it's on one item here. Sir, is that correct?
Well, I am a member of the Knights of Columbus. In fact, I'm a life member. But I just wanted to point out that we still need some volunteers from the community. And even though it's sponsored by the Catholic community, we have many other people who come down and help. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, the next item is the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine by city staff and will be approved in one motion if no member of the council or the public wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately with public comment before action is taken. Do any members of the council wish to have any items pulled as soon as I read them? Number 2. Proposed action to approve draft minutes of the city of Ridgecrest City Council successor redevelopment agency financing authority, housing authority, regular meeting dated November 7th, 2018. Proposed action to approve draft minutes of the City of Ridgecrest City Council successor agency financing authority, housing authority special meeting dated November 28th. Number 4, proposed action to approve a resolution authorizing a grant application for United States Department of Justice Bean Justice Assistant Program. And proposed action to, number 5, proposed action to approve a resolution to rescind the portions of resolution number 1795 and 1867 where the amount of $7,500 of Measure B funds is provided as matching funds for traffic engineering services for the Systemic Safety Analysis Report Project, Highway Safety Improvement Program Project, and allocate replacement funding from the unobligated general fund budget. Is there anybody from the council who would like any of these items pulled?
Number 4.
Number 4? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody from the public would like any item other than number 4 pulled? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to approve items 2, 3, and 5.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, number 5, Jed, if you'll come up, please.
4.
Number 4, I'm sorry.
I just saw that it was about the fencing project, and it said that we were going to upgrade the fencing project, or were we? What upgrades are being made?
No upgrade.
No.
Yeah, it's on. Good turn on.
It's on. No upgrades. We have to build it first, and this is part to build the fencing project from last month.
Right.
That this was the other grant that that DOJ just released. It was held in limbo for almost a year for whatever reason, and they just released it. And this is the one grant that I spoke about at that meeting.
So everything's staying the same on the project?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve
So
that
moved.
item?
Second. Okay.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, we are going to. I guess where I am. Sorry. Item number 6. A public hearing and resolution approving the fiscal year 2019-20 annual application regarding the Kern County Community Development Block Grant Funds administered by Kern County Planning and the Natural Resources Department and assigning all available funding to the first year access transition project.
Madam Mayor, because this affects property that I own, I need to abstain from this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for letting us know. So the voting members and the listing members will be simply 4 from the City Council. And I'm going to open the public hearing, and Bart, if you would discuss this with us.
I will. If you give me just another second,
Thank you, sir.
get my notes around. It appears to be on. Are we all set?
Yeah.
Okay. So, good evening, Mayor Breeden, members of the council. There is $72,548 of new funding that needs to be allocated. This public hearing is to allow the public to provide ideas on what they believe should be done with this new community development block grant funding. CDBG funds, which is Community Development Block Grant, must be used for activities that benefit low and moderate income persons. In addition, each activity must meet one of the following national objectives for the program: benefit low to moderate income persons, prevention or elimination of slums or blight, or address community development needs having a particular urgency because of existing conditions pose a serious and immediate threat to the health and welfare of the community for which other funding is not available. Just so that council understands, the American with Disabilities Act, ADA ramps can be done regardless of the location because they benefit everyone in the community. At this time, I believe that we should have public comment, and then I'll speak again afterwards, if that's all right.
Okay. I'd like to take public comment and then council comment also. Is there anybody who would like to address this item? This is your time to speak. Okay.
Well, then I'll just do my second part now,
Okay.
if that's all right. Staff has given this some thought as well on the different items, and we propose that we allocate the previous funding of the $574,783 and the 1920 funding of $72,548.83 for a total of $647,331.83 to the first construction phase of the city's ADA transition plan. Now, the reason we're suggesting this is that the engineer's estimate for the first phase was $170,000. When we put this out to bid this last summer, the bid was $429,000, 2.5 times what the engineer's estimate was. We believe a large portion of this discrepancy is the time that we put it out to bid. The reason we're doing this now is to see if we can get it out considerably earlier this year, coming up year. But what we'd like to do is we don't anticipate that this will be even $300,000, probably closer to $250,000, but we'd like to ensure that it's fully funded and completed, so that we're asking that all the funding be assigned to this project. Any funding left over doesn't go back. We get to reassign it when we're done, and then we'll ask at that time to reassign it to Phase 2 and then even Phase 3 if there's funding left after that.
Let me ask a question, if I may, sir.
Sure.
If when we do this, we find that the bids are not anywhere near what we expect them to be, because for whatever reason, are we able then to reject all those bids as we did in the past?
We most certainly can.
Okay. Does that allow us, must we abdicate that money, or are we able to hold it while we find other things?
We are. We can then, it will take several months to reassign it, but we can certainly assign it to something else. But again, it still has to fall within the parameters I mentioned earlier.
Is there any other council comment? Questions? Okay, since the public hearing is closed, we are at the council comment section, and I see no comments, no questions, no anything. Mr. Maurer is not here, so we will entertain a motion then to receive comments and close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote.
Do you need to push his button?
We have 4 ayes and 1 abstention for Mr. Maurer.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is item number 7. Bart, you're here again. Please share it with us.
I'll be here for quite a while.
Should we,
That's where he was going.
Oh.
He asked him to bring him back in.
You probably still need to read the item.
Okay, I will. Presentation by VSS Micropaver and Rayner, and council recommendations on brand of slurry machine to move forward in the purchasing process.
So, good evening again, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
And
Do we want to wait just 1 minute so
she's
Mike
getting-
can hear that?
I'm sorry, you're absolutely correct.
Does he have his phone?
I got just one quick one. Randy, you're here, right?
Yes.
All right, I thought so, but I haven't seen you dressed like that before. That's part of the problem, so, okay. All right.
Let's just give it a minute. Okay. Sorry to hold you up, folks, but it was an appropriate way for Mr. Maurer to step out,
For the last
and now
one.
he's back. Okay, go ahead, Bart.
No, I don't
Bart,
mind
Bart,
waiting till he
Bart.
sits down. It's okay. Okay. So, good evening again, Madam Mayor, members of council. Tonight, you will hear presentations from the 2 companies that provided bids on the city's slurry machine. want to give you a little history. Council asked Public Works to purchase a slurry machine to better maintain the city's roadway infrastructure. This purchase was allocated in fiscal year 2018-19 budget in the amount of $450,000. Staff at Public Works created a set of specifications that were sent to the 3 U.S. manufacturers of slurry machines on October 31st of this year. The 3 companies were Burkamp Incorporated, Rainer Equipment Systems, and VSS Macro Paver. There were 2 specific requirements within the specification that became relevant during the bidding process. The city required a cab-over truck design because of its efficiency in tight spaces such as cul-de-sacs. Because it doesn't have a nose, cab-over being the engine is under the driver and the front of the truck is flat, it's much easier for the driver to correctly place the truck during the slurry process. Also, the truck needed to be delivered no later than March 31st so that training could be completed and work could be commenced early in the season. Two of the companies out of the 3 that we sent bids out to responded. The 2 machines the city received bids on were the VSS Macro Paver and the Rainer Road Saver. Each of the companies provided 2 options. Rainer offered a conventional truck that was rejected because it wasn't a cab-over design, and they offered a cab-over Peterbilt truck which couldn't be delivered by the March 31st deadline. VSS Macro Paver offered the same cab-over Peterbilt truck, but had the same problem in that it couldn't be delivered by the March 31st deadline, and they offered a Mack truck that could be delivered within the time frame, but was approximately $12,000 more expensive than the Peterbilt option. The Rainer company made an offer during the process that was outside the bidding parameters. They stated that they would provide a loaner machine until our machine was available if we wanted the Peterbilt machine. Since this wasn't an option available to both bidders, Public Works would have had to award the VSS Macro Paver on the Mack truck as they provided the only bid that met both the timeline and the cab-over requirement. Public Works decided to allow VSS Macro Paver the ability to offer a loaner machine to the city to keep the bidding fair. When the offer was made, VSS Macro Paver accepted and made an equivalent offer for the use of a loaner machine. Bids came in as follows for the cab-over Peterbilt, with both companies providing the exact same truck, both providing a loaner machine at no cost, and the machine would be delivered and picked up at our location at no cost. VSS Macro Paver bid $394,981.52. Rainer bid $395,216.74. The difference between these bids is $235.22, or approximately 0.06% difference. It's the closest bid I've seen in my 42 years in Public Works. Since this item was in the budget, the city manager is allowed to make the award. However, council has had a keen interest on this item since it was first suggested, so it was decided to bring the item to council to hear if they had a recommendation on which machine to purchase. To ensure that council has all the information needed on both machines, we're providing each manufacturer 20 minutes to present to council and the public. They will be available for questions until council reaches their recommendation. We will begin with the Rainer Equipment Systems, please. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm just going to set my timer so I try to stay respectful within my time schedule. Sometimes hard to do. My name is Randy Tattershaw. I am the sales manager for Rainer Equipment Systems. I've been with the company for 10 years, and we, as a company, we have machines in 34 countries around the world. We've been in business, and you'll see here in just a moment, in 2019, we'll have our 40th year in business. The founders of the company, I'll jump ahead here, Gordon and Rich Rainer, are actively involved in the company from the design of machines to chemistry to customer support. Gordon is a founding member of the California Chip Seal Association and has been a pioneer within this industry. So again, in 2019, it's our pleasure to hit the 40-year mark. So the first picture up here, this is the first operational sightless engine slurry machine. We built it in 2008. We debuted it at the ISSA in 2009. That first year after the introduction at the ISSA, it went into our fleet, and we did a lot of troubleshooting, working through some of the bugs on a brand new design that you would expect to be there, and ended up with a very successful year, and that started us into production of Silas engine machines. So in 2017, we built the first Silas engine cab-over machine. This is cab-over Peterbilt. Correct myself. The first Silas engine cab-over Peterbilt is what I'm going to say. We debuted this at the ISSA again in January of 2018. This was built for Graham contractors in the San Francisco Bay Area. The short cab is a necessity for them for the tight turning, tight streets that they have to work with. They put this machine into production throughout the year, and it has performed exceptionally well. And they have subsequently ordered another unit which is in production today. This is a little bit of a fluff piece, just talking about slurry and microsurfacing, how it is widely accepted and used throughout California. And here we are doing a project in front of the state capitol. So within our industry, we have the International Slurry Surfacing Association. It is designed to help improve the quality of folks within our industry who are doing the work, and it's open for municipalities to come and learn as well. In 2018, we're invited to do the live demonstration. We did this with the machine that was built in 2008. It was a good example of the ingenuity and the process, how well the machines perform. There are 42 of these machines out in the field working today. So who else is, other municipalities are having their own slurry and microsurfacing program. One of them is Mesa, Arizona. They've had a long-standing program. They've had 5 road savers over the years, and they have also ordered a Silas engine machine, which is in production, expected to be delivered at the end of January. Now, this is a cab-over Peterbilt, but this, if you look on the side, has a side engine. This is the older technology. The new technology is environmentally friendly. You don't have the pollutions and the maintenance of a side engine, and you don't have the noise that those side engines bring. City of Bullhead City, Arizona. Very similar in climate to what you guys have here. Very similar in road conditions. They had a huge issue, and they just couldn't get ahead. The roads continued to crumble, and so by purchasing their own slurry machine, they've moved forward and have a very successful program. Their goal is to do 20% of their streets annually. So in a 5-year cycle, they'll have done the worst of the triage, and then they come back and be more aggressive on the roads that really need the attention. The city of Modesto. City of Modesto, California, same scenario. Streets in dire straits, needed help, and the tax base wasn't there to just replace all the streets, so they've started their own program and have been very successful with it. Again, a Silas engine machine. I will note that this is the conventional cab, which is the longer nose that Bart had talked about, but this has a setback front axle. These trucks pull cul-de-sacs all the time. So there's most of the machines that we've built have been of that particular design. City of Riverside, California. They also have their own program doing small projects. Still, most of these cities do issue large contracts for the big jobs, but this allows them to have in-house control. So for the machine that you guys are looking for, how do we start? So we have a Peterbilt chassis that has, for slurry and microsurfacing, these machines have to live in a pretty rugged, robust environment. Heavy-duty rear end, heavy-duty front end, and there's some unique things that get started as we go to design and spec a machine. It's a lot more than just putting a body on a chassis. There's a lot of engineering that goes into it when the truck now becomes part of the prime mover. The truck is a key element in making the machine function. We have internal programming. We have to change the programming within the truck's chassis, within the Allison transmission, so that we can get the power. These machines operate at very low engine RPM. So when we first did the original design, we had access to PACCAR, who's the parent company of Peterbilt and Kenworth. We had access to a lot of their engineers in trying to design a system that would allow us to pull this much torque at very low engine RPM. And we've been very successful at that. And I will say that of their PACCAR, a very large company, they have 3 test sites for their for the engines, for the very harsh environments. We're one of those test sites. The way the machine's designed, we use onboard electronics. You look at a lot of the large construction machinery, you don't realize how much technology goes into making these things perform, but they are state-of-the-art pieces of machinery. Control valve on the side, the hydraulics, managing that is a challenge. This is all load sensing technology. Load sensing allows us to utilize the horsepower as efficiently as possible. So when we're pulling power from the system, it only pulls as much as is needed to do the work. When we did the redesign, one of the things we looked at was, okay, we've got a blank slate. How do we make this machine perform better? Breaking the mold from what we've done in the past. We have electronic synchronization between the emulsion and the aggregate. So with electronic synchronization, because of the onboard electronics, we can now put the pump where it makes the most sense to do it. Pumps are designed to push material. They don't like to draw a vacuum. Here, we put the pump below the emulsion tank instead of up on the fender where it has historically been. Now we use the pump's head, or the tank's head pressure to force feed the pump, and that results in longer life out of the equipment and better performance. With that, now we have room to put in a large suction filter, so we can keep any foreign contaminants from getting into the pump that would cause a problem with the machine performing when we're in the field. This filter, we've got 2 large inlets coming in to feed the filter. A lot of the chemistry that we use has latex and polymers in there that can cause a buildup. By having 2 large ports, it allows us to keep the machine, again, performing and working in the field. The computer system, we have real-time percentages. So because these machines are mobile batch plants, they are mixing the chemistry on site. So they're making this material. So we have to measure the material within, 0.25% as we're mixing some of these ingredients together. So the computer, and this is everything that I'm showing you is all standard equipment. It's not an option. These are all just standard pieces. With calibration, again, one of the challenges. If you make any of these processes harder to do, it's less likely that people are going to do it. We have our own contracting business. We know firsthand how difficult it is to hold that high level of professionalism and quality out of the equipment and the crews. So here we have aggregate calibration. Very simple. You put in a number, push go, it runs. It gives you the full counts. When you're done, you do weights, you do those things that are indicative of every machine. The other part about onboard electronics, they scare people. It's a little black box. What's up there? What do we do with it? If something goes wrong, how do we fix it? And that's a fair concern. We've designed in faults so we can identify if a component starts to fail, it'll throw up a fault code. And we have on the fault descriptions, you can scroll through there and see what those fault codes are. So you know right off what's the what is happening, why the fault was triggered, and gets you a lot closer to getting the machine fixed and back up and running. So the machines also have evolved, and they are much simpler to operate. So you get this large machine, it's a batch plant. Once you have everything set up, there's one button start. You push one red button, the whole machine sequences on and starts producing the slurry or microsurfacing. When you get done, you push that same red button, and everything sequences off so that you have a perfect blend of the material on the first part of a pole and the end of a pole. As the environmental change, so we start in the morning and it's cool, maybe it's maybe a little more some humidity. The afternoon it's hot and dry. We have to make changes to the machine. So adapting that startup and shutdown delay is very, very simple and user friendly. So not showing you all the screens that we have within the computer. We've got these that are simple. One of the other things that we do different is there's a multitude of screens, because when you turn around and look at this thing, you're kind of going quick because you're working. If the small numbers, it gets really hard to see, and it's hard to know what's going on. So we use small, simple displays with large numbers. Some of the simple concepts in design we have to take into consideration are the people who have to maintain the machinery. So it's not just the guys operating it, not just the folks who have to pay for the equipment, but it has to be maintained on a regular basis. One of those things, as simple as it is, the sprinkler system. We use color coding on all the sprinkler lines. So if you're looking at the front spray bar sprinkler, it's easy to trace that back and know exactly which one it is. It's the yellow circuit or it's the blue circuit, right? So on the original design in 2008, when we were trying to rethink this whole process and be environmentally friendly, one of those pieces was the heat exchanger, okay, the oil cooler. It's a fan-driven oil cooler that's a necessity on the older machines. It takes that hydraulic oil from that's powering the machine to operate, and the fan blows through it with cool air, and it helps lower the temperature of the hydraulics. Well, what we're doing is we're putting hot air back into the environment. We're also, putting it into the environment where our folks are working. So we changed and we moved the hydraulic tank to the front of the water tank. We're always in this process putting in fresh, cool water. Bing, light goes on. That takes all the heat, thermal cooling. We don't have that hot air going back out in the environment. It's environmentally friendly. On the hydraulics and throughout the whole machine, there's a lot of things that are hidden that you don't necessarily see that we do on every machine. Again, we don't charge extra for it. We don't make it as an option. It's just standard equipment. Inside the hydraulic tank, there are two very large magnetic suction screens. We don't have to put them in there. No one will know they're in there. But what they do is they keep ferrous material from getting into our hydraulic pumps. So it's a lot of attention to detail that comes from us owning our own machinery and knowing what it costs to maintain it and to keep it running. Also, we have ball valves, quick close ball valves. In the event there's a catastrophic event, we've had a hydraulic hose fail, we've had something go on, we don't want a hazmat issue. We want to be able to shut that off as soon as possible. So the ball valves allow us to quickly close that off, and those are throughout the circuit. This is a slightly different view, but this goes back to the cooling. So we are taking the hydraulics, and we're flowing, that comes from those two filters up there through the hose. That goes as a tube and shell through the hydraulic, through the water in the water tank. So we're using as much surface area as we can to pull the heat out of the hydraulics, and it really has been a very successful process. By taking the hydraulic cooler out, it's one more component, one more leak point that goes away. On the back, we have a diverter. This diverter, as they make the material, this is on the back side of the mixer. So as the mixer, as it comes out of the back of the machine, it goes into a box, and the box is what makes it look pretty on the road, and it what sets the depth, the thickness of the material. With this steel diverter, the operator can easily, with a joystick, control and send the material either side of the box. If you got a lane that's not a full box width, they may have to do a half pass. This makes it very easy to do that. Inside the mixer, this is a fairly short mixer. But if you notice all the pug mill, this is called a pug mill, All the blades are at slightly different angles. In our design process, we built 26 different versions of this before we got the mix just right. So we run a fairly slow RPM, and it really blends the material in that short amount of space very well. The pug mill has 2 motors. The pug mill is kind of the workforce that makes this whole thing function. It's mixing all that chemistry together in that short space. We use twin motor drive to keep those shafts powered and moving forwards. Single motor drive, you have the possibility of side loading. So our concept is the dual motor drive. And on the back side, on the front, because we're using the hydraulics to drive it, there are no bearings to maintain because they're all internal of the hydraulic system. On the back side, we have a steel gate, so we can easily close that off and not drop any more material onto the ground if we need to travel from one street over to another one. And then we have these bearings that are very easy to access and maintain if they need replacement. So inside the hopper, this is where all the aggregate is stored. This machine is built out of T1 steel, which is an ASTM A572. Just means it's a very hard, very durable steel and allows us to have very long life out of the equipment. Where you may not have the corrosion issues here, you absolutely have the aggregate wear. And the steel that this machine is built out of allows us to get that long life, as you'll see in a few minutes. This is another view. Inside the hopper, you see there's the long piece that's hanging by chains in the center. That is it's a hanging, hydraulically driven vibrator because we have aggregate in here that we don't want to bridge. As the aggregate is packed, it'll make what they call a bridge and won't allow the aggregate to flow out into the mix. This runs automatically. The operator doesn't have to think about it. It's on for 3 seconds, off for 7 seconds. As long as it's running, it's always keeping that aggregate flowing. We have what's called a control area network. With all the electronics, the big concerns are the multitude of wires it takes to run the system. With a control area network, those are reduced down to basically 5 wires. CAN high, CAN low, CAN shield, and a power and ground. All of these electronic components are connected by those same 5 wires. Makes a simplicity for troubleshooting, easy to maintain, and if there's a part that needs to be replaced, it's just plug and play. One other quick point, on the top of the joystick on the left-hand side, that little red button up there, that's the one on, one off. Super, super easy to operate these types of machines. One of the concerns has been introduction of fiber. We have a fiber feeder that's been designed by, the name's escaping me, it used to be VM Fiber Feeder. They build these as a pre-chopped fiber, so there's the maintenance of getting that fiber in there is a lot simpler. There's arguments on either side of that. We have found this to be very successful, very consistent, and easy to repeat and to make it happen. With that fiber feeder, you probably don't want to run fiber on every single project because you're adding cost to something that you don't need. That can easily be removed so you're not carrying around an additional piece of equipment and weight if it's not needed. Now, this is a short 1 minute, 15-second video. This is the first cab-over Peterbilt sideless engine machine in operation. This is in Northern California, Alameda. They're going fairly slow because this is their startup. In a minute, it's going to jump over and show a more residential street up in the hills of San Jose. Just a quick example of what the machines do and how they function, and how it can bring, benefit and life to the roads of Ridgecrest. So as we're nearing the end here, This truck was the first machine we ever built as a company in 1982. This machine is still working today in central Chile. It was in California until air quality standards got to the point where it wasn't functional, wasn't allowed to run here to meet requirements. So it's quite a feather in our cap. It's a return on investment that a long life of the way the machines are built, the type of materials we use, T1 being one of those, that gives that long life and return on investment to the residents of Ridgecrest. So with that, I open up to any questions, or I can come back for questions if there are any.
I just had one question. I would imagine that being up and running quickly when you've got road crews and you're in the midst of the project, and should something malfunction or break or something, is this take like kind of a modular approach where you send equipment, if in the event something goes out, how do you service these, and what is the turnaround time for getting up and running again and so forth?
As a manufacturer, we keep all those parts in stock. Most of the components that are on this machine are designed by the top manufacturers of the industry. Sauer Danfoss, for example, a lot of the electronics and the hydraulics, because we sell these machines internationally, they have to be readily available around the world. So we try to choose suppliers who we have that international support, and we have very strong support within the United States. Like I said, we do keep all of the parts in stock, but we're also very quick at helping identify where you can get those.
So the mainframe most common issues or repairs, our team would be trained in how to handle that or replace, correct?
Yes, sir. We've actually put in the contract that there's training for the mechanic as well as the crew.
Okay, so our local people will be trained on the common things that could go wrong with this.
That's correct.
And parts are readily available, and
we actually asked, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we asked for a list of the most commonly used parts and a pricing sheet from both companies.
Okay.
So that we were considering stocking the most commonly needed here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's my question.
Welcome.
Did you have a question? Go ahead.
Now, is there any warranty on like the driveline aspect of the trucks, on the motor, the transmission, the electronics, the computer?
Yes, there are, and those were. I believe we have those specified on the bid.
Okay.
If not, and forgive me, I don't know off the top of my head, we can easily supply that information.
And do you,
industry standard.
So, if it was something under warranty, do you have mechanics come down and fix it out on site, or does it have to be trucked back up to a facility that's
depends on the severity? Most of the time, we can easily have someone here if need be. We do that frequently. Frequently sounds like it's a lot, but whenever there is an issue that can't be solved, remotely, we're here.
Thanks.
And we travel around the world to do that.
Do you assist in formulating the emulsions and things for the areas that you use your machines in, so that we make sure we're using the right compound to put down for our weather?
Sure, absolutely. We work with municipalities, governments, and contractors around the world in getting started and learning where their local sources are, and hopefully multiple sources, so that they have that depth to call on and that they can get the best pricing strategy. So we help with, we have our own lab for laboratory testing, so we can do triage, we can do testing, but we will help you find a lab that can get you certified and to do that the proper direction.
Mike, did you have any questions? Anybody else? Okay, is there any public comment on this?
Dave Matthews, my address is on file. Several people have addressed the service. What I'm wondering is, you were talking about the durability of some of the parts that were in it. Is there any kind of initial guarantee, warranty, or whatever like that?
Yes, there is. We have a 2-year guarantee or warranty on the hydraulic system. The structure of the machine has I believe it is a 5-year warranty on the structure of the machine. I will say it is a rare situation where we are not, regardless of whether it's in warranty or not, if there is a workmanship or component failure, we're right there to try to fix it.
Okay, thank you, sir. No other public comment? Okay, the next then presentation?
Yes, can we hear from
Thank you.
BSS Macro
Thank you,
Favor,
sir.
please? And thank you, Randy.
So there's 2 of us here from the company tonight. I'm Doug Hogue, Vice President, General Manager. Adjust the microphone a little bit. Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
My name is Doug Hogue, Vice President, General Manager. I'm a licensed professional engineer, mechanical engineering. I started with the company in 1991 as a project engineer and have spent my career building equipment for the asphalt road maintenance industry and these macro pavers. Brought Sue Sass with me. She's our business development manager, and she's been working with the City of Ridgecrest on this project. Kind of for the timeliness here, I'll deliver most of the presentation. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. Clicker here. So I wanted to introduce you to some of the strength of our company in the size. We have a large family of companies. We stretch from Northern California down through the valley to Bakersfield and over into Chandler, Arizona. George Reed Construction has aggregate quarries, hot mix plants, and construction crews that do paving and road construction work. VSS International started as Valley Slurry Seal and has grown into a very large contractor doing slurry, microsurfacing, asphalt rubber chip seals, and 7-Eleven Materials. I wanted to point out our company has recently expanded where we have a company here in Ridgecrest. And the guys out here in the audience have come to join us tonight from 7-Eleven Materials are all local to the community. Wanted to let you know that we are involved here. This was formerly American Ready Mix that was acquired by our company I think last year. And VSS Emultech, which is part of VSS International, which is a large manufacturer of asphalt emulsions. So our company has an in-house certified laboratory. We manufacture the emulsions. We place the materials. We're full service, very much vertically integrated, and then VSS Macropaver that we're here talking about tonight. We're all separate companies, but in a family of companies under the same family ownership by the Reed family. We're located in Hickman, California. We started there in 1973. I think I already mentioned our sister company here in Ridgecrest. We've got 5 employees living right here in the beautiful town of Ridgecrest. Our dedicated team provides engineering, manufacturing, service. All we do is the equipment. And I put Microsoft Dynamics up here, and it's kind of odd to say we do all these things and we have an ERP system, but it's been a very big investment in our company. But we have installed Microsoft Dynamics ERP system. We've gone through a full implementation, and what that does for us, you're asking about parts support. We've entered a very challenging environment here for material supply, parts to build machines for small manufacturers, because we're in a booming economy coming out of a time where things were pretty stagnant. We've got a global trade war going on, and all of these things are changing the price of materials, are changing the availability of materials. And this ERP system helps us keep on top of that. We always have 4 machines in production. We build them in sets of 4. We build them to specification rather than to order, and we configure to order. That makes us faster to deliver, and it puts a large number of parts in flow in our system. So to get that right time for manufacturing and to keep an eye on what we're selling in parts to be able to support the machines in the field, this system is a major strength for us. We also do all the manufacturing in-house. So we start on a laser cutter. This is a 3-year-old machine, and we can cut through 1-inch plate. We do all of the cutting. We form on a CNC press brake. Welding, fabrication, painting, assembly, everything is done in-house. And we find that's necessary to be able to fully support our machines and our customers. And we do this globally. Export is a very important part of our business. We've got over 480 machines across the globe operating in 70 countries. Just last week I had a man in Russia and another one in India. When you look at Ridgecrest on the map, we're not that far away compared to some of these other places where we work. We're also very involved in our industry. Association of Equipment Manufacturers, our corporate CEO and the owner of our company, Jeffrey Reed, is the construction equipment chair. ISA, International Slurry Surfacing Association, I'm the current vice president, going in as president next year. And the Western Region Association of Pavement Preservation, Sally Houston, who works in our laboratory, is the chairman of the board. We believe when we join an association in our industry, we're going to show up and we're going to participate. We're not just members, we're active members. And I wanted to show you this to show you how we're committed to furthering pavement preservation and to help train someone new to the industry like the city of Ridgecrest would be. So if we get back to the machine, I want to quickly go through the capacities. We're a 3 to 4 ton a minute machine. We've got the largest pug mill in the industry. If you look at the gate opening on this machine, it's the largest in the industry. And that's born out of a very large contractor who has the needs for high production and who has the needs for a machine that operates reliably all season long. So the emulsion tank is 850 gallons. The water tank is the same, and those exceed the bid requirements. 12 cubic yard hopper, 12 cubic foot cement hopper, liquid additive tank of 125 gallons, and a 130 gallon hydraulic reservoir. When we went to the PTO driven machines, we've started with the cab over. And if you look at the history of macro pavers, it's almost always been a cab over. The only times we've differed from that is when someone wanted a conventional, because the conventional chassis are generally less expensive. So when we developed this on the cab over, the reason, I think it was stated in your bid specs, you've got cul-de-sacs in town and tight turn radiuses because you're working in residential areas. Our machine has been designed from the start to be the shortest machine. We've kept it very short to fit on the cab over so that it can hit that tight turn radius. Can a setback front axle machine do a cul-de-sac? It can do several cul-de-sacs, but the smallest cul-de-sacs it can't, and the cab over with the tightest turn radius can. And we've got the specs for the Peterbilt chassis on the turn radius right here. This is from the beginning of the macro paver. One of the things we changed in our design from the early 80s, and this started in 1993, in going through other operators, they were worried about the traffic that travels right next. If I was standing on the back of the machine at this podium, the older machine designs are full right next to the operator right here. They had a cement hopper, they had other controls, and you've got live traffic running right here. And the operators came to us and said, you know, sometimes that traffic's doing speed limit and the construction zone is 25, and sometimes they're doing 60. And sometimes we think that guy might be headed our direction and we've got nowhere to go. So we removed all that equipment. The fines feeder is now part of the hopper. The machine here has a fiber feeder on it, which is encroaching into that area a small amount, but you still see an exit path across that machine. And that was something that was important to our operators, and we consider it safer in this design. And this is kind of demonstrating in a work zone where that operator, if he didn't have that exit path across the pug mill, could be trapped right on that operator station. Even if he saw it coming and had time to react, he's got nowhere to go. He'd just have to take the hit. We also have a safe tank access all the way across the front of the machine. We've got a ladder which easily stays in an upright position for transport and comes down for easy access up and fully across, providing access to both the emulsion and water tank. And I guess I'm pointing out in bold in some of these things, these were bid spec items that we are complying with. They're also standard features on the macro paver. One of the other things that was a bid spec item were hydraulic gauges, and these are standard on the machine. The bid spec said hydraulic gauges for all hydraulic circuits, plus a filter indicator and conveyor clutch pressure. We put all those right on the operator station, so you don't have to walk around the machine to see them. They're right there, easy to access. These are high quality gauges, and we have right on that panel what the pressure setting should be, so the operator doesn't have to memorize it, doesn't have to consult an operator's manual. The other thing we've done is these are lifetime labels. This is laser cut stainless steel. We're cutting completely through the steel and we're overlaying it onto a painted surface. So when you're working around a slurry machine or putting this material on the road, I like to explain to people that you're gluing rocks together. This is a way of dealing with asphalt, which is normally at 275 degrees to flow like water. You've mixed it with water with a chemistry so that it's liquid at ambient temperatures and flows like water. Well, as you can imagine, that can get on an operator's hands, it can get everywhere, and it gets around the machine. If you wipe this off and any of that asphalt has gotten into those letters, they just get blacker, and you can wipe the surface off. And since it's stainless steel as opposed to a plastic, it doesn't lose its adhesive, it doesn't get bleached in the sun, and it doesn't get destroyed by the powerful citrus-based cleaners that are usually used to clean up this asphalt. The other thing we've done a lot of work on, we started this system in 2008, but fast forward to today and it's advanced a lot. We put this, what we call our Easy Op monitoring system, and I've got a full list of features. Rather than going through every single feature with you, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are some, but one of the important things is we don't have to turn around to look at any of these. We put the dashboard, think of the dashboard of your car, right in front of the operator. So you look down at the operator panel, look up at the street where you're doing your work. Your vision is here to here. And one of the other things I wanted to point out, we put all of the material displays on one screen. So we're using a high resolution screen here so we can use colors to differentiate. We actually enter the mix design, the laboratory mix design, into the machine. And if you, maybe a little hard to see on the slide, but if you look at the arcs underneath water, fines, or additive, you'll see a little green tick. And what that green tick is indicating is the mix design specification. So some of the things like water or liquid additive in a mix design are sometimes left up to the operator's choice, and you'll adjust those for temperature throughout the day to make your mixture cure out right or workability on the road. But it's always nice to know what the mix design parameters are, so you can, as you change the production rate of the machine, adjust your flows right back to that mix design. So we put those right there for ease of use to the operator. And kind of what we came to the realization, this was back in 2008, everything used to be done by counts on these machines. And these are what's called a volumetric slurry machine. We're in a laboratory mix design, everything's done on a scale by mass, by weight. But here on the machine, we're measuring everything volumetrically. So the correlation between the two is what's done in a calibration. And all of those things we're talking about pounds per count to an operator. And if you were to go through like an ISA workshop where they talk about the calibration, they'll teach it the old school way. And it's kind of like teaching in grammar school where you teach the kids how to do addition and multiplication longhand. But the kids are kind of looking at you like, but I've got this smartphone my parents sent me in with, and I don't need to do this by longhand because I just punch it in. Well, the operators of today are used to all that power on that smartphone, and we put it on the machine here. So none of the calibration calculations have to be done outside the machine. All of the calibration scale readings, everything is entered right into the machine as you're doing the calibration. The laboratory mix design is entered in, and the answers come out of the machine. So the bid specs ask for the system to assist in the calibration. And that's something we went on early on in this because we train so many people new to the industry on how to work with this. So we actually tell you step by step, and you'll see it right on the screen. Drive the macropaver onto the scale and enter the weight. This is showing the full data of the calibration that's recorded on the machine. Those are all the weights of how you arrive at how this machine correlates the volume measurements to the mass measurements. The other thing we did to make that easy to operate, all of the control buttons on the machine, and you see the pictorials telling you how to turn pumps on and whatnot. When you're in the calibrate mode, that conveniently becomes a 10 key for data entry. So just like somebody be used to putting it in on a keyboard, it's right there as a keyboard right next to the screen on the panel of the machine. The other thing we've done with this is we have telematics in the system. So this is your data in the cloud. And this is something we include during it comes with lunch, and it's for free during the warranty period of the machine, which is 1 year. After that, there's a $20 per month fee from the data service that you can choose to subscribe to if you want to continue it, and then you would have a SIM card data plan. So it's whatever your city SIM card data plan costs you, and that's also your own provider. But all this data that we've collected on the machine is now available at your desktop through the cloud. So you don't have to worry about the operator. Did he write this down? Did he note what he did? It's right there. It's kind of like OnStar on a macropaver. This is showing you some of the data that's available, showing you exactly what happened. And it's telling you what happened by GPS coordinate. So you can see what happened right there on the street. You can go back for 3 years of data in that portal to see what you placed, what the actual mixture was on the road. So if you're seeing a problem with that in your quality, you can go right back and say, well, look, we had this operating out of spec. Let's work with the training of our crew, get that back in spec, and solve this problem. This is showing how it shows you on a map just where the machine was placing the material, and it's color coded to tell you, just like the other machine, our machine is one button start stop. We call it main start. When main start is on, that graph turns red, and that means it's placing material on the road. And then you can actually, this other little tick is showing you if you picked on a GPS coordinate, what happened at that spot. The other thing that's nice is you can see where your machine is. When we first installed this system, my engineer, who's always calling the construction company to find out on a new machine or something else that he's placed something on for testing where the heck it is, and he might have to make 3 or 4 phone calls to find out, is it still in California? Is it over in Arizona? Is it working in Nevada? He came into my office. He said, you know what the best part of the system is with all this neat stuff? He says, I don't have to call anybody. I know right where the machine is. and you'll be surprised how handy that can be. So this system's more involved. I think maybe we're getting closer on time. So it also allows us remote diagnostics. You're asking how close are we? How long would it take to get to a problem? You tell us you need help. We can log onto that machine as long as you've got a cell signal on that machine, and we can tell in real time what's going on that machine from our office before we even leave. Send somebody down here, we know what's going on. And many times we can help you right through a situation. Maybe it's an operational problem, or as you said, training comes with the machine. We will train your people how to work on it, and that's always the best first line of defense, is your people understand the machine, know how to work on it. Going through a few more things, liquid additive system. We put the pump right on top of the deck where it's easy to work on. I'll try to go through these a little faster. Additive and water flow meters are on the side of the hopper, also plain view, very easy to work on. Fiber injection system. We use a fiber cutter, and we like the chopper better. Our contracting company's probably done more fiberized microsurfacing than any other company. And we like to do a quarter by half combination of the fibers. We find that works a lot better on the roads than just a standard single length fiber. And we can do that by setting up the chopper for that. And that's what we have quoted on this machine. This is showing how that is fed right into the aggregate as it's going into the pug mill. The other thing that was in the bid spec, miscellaneous item 1, is a waste disposal box. Standard feature on our machine. It's something you might want to ask about on other machines. But this allows you, as you have waste material when you're doing a joint, to put that material right there in this box. It's got a locking feature so that it transports the material back to your stockpile or yard where you're going to dispose of it. As soon as you unlock it, it pivots about the center, so it's easy effort with one hand to dump that straight to the ground. Bid spec required for a hydraulic air-to-oil cooler to maintain correct hydraulic temperature. That's the style cooler we use, which is standard of the industry. Pug mill. This is a very large mixing chamber, and that's because we do such a variety of materials with this machine, from slurry seals through microsurfacing. We also provide an anti-stall protection where the operator doesn't have to watch a pressure gauge to see if it's getting towards stalling point. The computer watches that for you, and it'll shut off the material feed, let the stall clear out of the pug mill before it ever reaches its maximum pressure. That's just what we're able to do with the control system now to take the operating load off an operator. And we found that's one of the key things to helping new people get used to machines is that we make it a lot easier for them. Hydraulically adjustable spreader box. This is something also in your bid spec, and we build this ourselves. It's our own design. It's 8 to 14 feet, which is the largest expansion range available. Very high quality, advanced piece of equipment. So some of the key points. Our company has the experience. We have a local presence in Ridgecrest. We're engaged in our industry. Our machine meets and exceeds all your bid specifications, and we're low bidder. I'd like to open it up to any questions.
Thank you. Questions from council?
There was discussion of the Peterbilt truck. I guess with both companies, have you all put your equipment on a?
Yeah, so we're doing it on 2 manufacturers' trucks right now, and that's a good question because you do have a lot of interface work with the engine. You heard about CAN buses, which is kind of like the Ethernet that you have in the office. That's what's on a machine. So we started with Mack trucks. We have them out operating on Peterbilt trucks, and we're offering today on both of those trucks, Peterbilt or Mack.
Can I follow up on your question? Mm-hmm. You're building them right now, but do you have any out?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we're in the second season of operation with a contractor customer of ours with the Peterbilt truck.
How many cities have you helped get up and running on this type of stuff?
I don't have a total right now off the top of my head. What's that? The city of Des Moines is a recent one. We've worked with Arizona, Huntington Beach, City of San Francisco, Portland. I'd have to go
Okay.
into our register, I guess, to answer that in detail, but a number.
And the longevity of your machines?
So we have machines from the 80s that are still running, and typically they're in South America now because of the same reasons, because contractors up here have replaced them with more efficient machines, and also in California, everything is headed towards Tier 4 as of 2019, and this is a solution to Tier 4 where it's priced the same as what was known as Tier 3, and we found it to be a much better solution than having an engine on the macropaver, because it is quieter. You could have this conversation right next to the machine because it sounds like a truck idling.
Any other council comments? Any public comment? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Bart.
All right. So, Public Works, we asked for references. Public Works has checked with the references provided and the companies and agencies using both of these pieces of equipment. I've spoken personally to all of the with the exception of Riverside, all the companies that Rayner mentioned. I also went through all of the references provided by VSS Macropaver. None of the references I spoke with would want to switch to the other company, from either side, and nor did they have anything to say that was bad about the equipment they were using. So to ensure that the council's choice is within the city's purchasing recommendation, is within the purchasing requirements, Public Works asked the city attorney to review the Ridgecrest and the state purchasing requirements. I'll defer to the city attorney to relate what he found at this point in time.
Thank you, Bard. State law merely requires that the city have a policy and that the city follow its policy. It doesn't require, for example, it doesn't require going with the lowest bid. City's purchasing policy adopted earlier this year for purchases that had been approved within the budget, and this is the case, I understand. Purchases above $30,000 are within the authority of the city manager, and in this case, the city manager is asking the council to make the decision.
So, last little bit, having personally examined the information provided both groups, as well as having been in meetings with both groups, I would say that each machine has particular areas in which they excel, but both machines within what's the right word for it? Have ways around all the specs. So in other words, they presented saying that we can't meet this spec, but here's how we do it. All right, and we looked at that. So but both machines meet the specs, and we provided, and will serve the city well in the years to come. So that's
Okay. Is there any other comments or questions from the council? I'd like to ask one, and I'm not being picky here. I'm just trying to understand. As I said the last time we talked about slurry machines, I said I wouldn't know a slurry machine if it ran over me. I do now know what a slurry machine looks like. I know more about a slurry machine than, frankly, I ever want to know. However, I'm not sure that I am qualified to make that kind of decision. I'm wondering why it comes to us, unless any of us here are experts in slurry machines, and wondering why is this, especially if the bid is only, $265 difference. It seems to me that we would defer to our resident experts on this and staff who know this. And so can somebody help me understand why we are asked to make a decision on something most of us probably don't know very much about?
Because the bids were so close, and this is one-time funding and one-time funding only to get this program off the ground. And like I said, because it was so close, we elected to bring it back to council just to ensure that whatever machine that we chose would be acceptable to council, and to give council an opportunity to examine both vendors and be able to help us with the decision. In looking at both vendors, they're both quality vendors. Both machines are going to work. So really, we're deferring to you guys for your questions and then ultimate guidance.
Okay.
You could also say that we'd like we agree that they both look about even and you guys choose. I mean, but I'm just saying that that's why we brought it to you.
I guess my concern is that if this happens more and more, I'm not objecting to another additional look-see, but quite frankly, to ask people who are not expert in this particular thing seems to me inappropriate. But I would prefer to defer to our staff who has done their homework, and I'm not saying the committees haven't, but I'm not an expert on sewing machines and won't claim to be. Anybody else
I wanna ask
have
a
any
question now.
comments?
Does Les have a preference on which machine?
He does. I've talked to him about it. His preference is the VSS macro paver. He has gone to see the Rainer machine in Modesto. He has talked to the people there. But he's been around the machine here when Environmental Concepts has done their work for the last couple summers.
They have a VSS?
Yes.
Is there other counsel?
Well,
I'm kind of at 6 of one, half a dozen the other, so
I think, personally, I appreciated the presentations because as a new council member of 2016, I find that we end up going with staff's recommendations, especially on the road things that we're not totally familiar with as a rubber stamp. And that's okay because we yield to the experts 99% of the time. I find it refreshing occasionally, once or twice a year, for us to get a little bit more of an education, and the public to get a little bit more of an education as to what all of this massive money goes to, right? So personally, I enjoyed the presentation, and whereas it's probably more than I want to know, like you, Peggy, I think that we need to know a little bit about where all your money's going every now and then. So I applaud both companies for coming here. As far as coming back to the council with a particular tiebreaker or whatever and something that's so close, personally as a councilman, I actually respect that and appreciate that because I think that the council in some areas and some ways, even if it's a technical thing like this, we should have a broad-based understanding of what these things are, and we should have some input based on what we hear from all factors. Also, I think many of the other council members up here have done a little bit of research on this. We're not going to speak as technical experts. I've done some, I know personally on this, not extensive, but some. On some of these things that hit the $500 million mark, I spent a couple of hours on, whether it's my forte or not. So I've done a little bit, and I don't want to comment on that, but I've done some. I think some of the other council members have done some, right? So that's the objective here. So on this one thing, Madam Mayor, I don't think we're setting a precedent here of saying, well, if we, get to this level of detail on this, that it's going to be on a lot of things. This is the first one in 2 years dealing with a road machine that has ever come up. So I do not think we're setting any precedent whatsoever by having these two companies speak on a piece of equipment of this expense. So I liked it, I appreciate it, and whatever. And I do think the council should vote. It's very close. Both groups did a good job. Looks like technically we're good, legally we're good. It's a matter on something like that. We were voted as in office to make a few deciding decisions. So I think we should vote on it.
Just one thing. I'm sorry. Just one thing to remember. It is Ron's decision, and you're making a recommendation. You're not voting on which one to purchase. You're making a recommendation. There is no resolution with this item. So,
I had a quick question. When you said you called the references, did you speak to any cities on?
I spoke to a county, Maui in Hawaii. That was that little red dot clear to the left on their map. And what they said is that the machine performs well. They didn't have any problems with it. Their only comment is that they didn't have as much input as they would have liked.
Okay.
Okay, so how are we going to do this? By recommendation, one or the other? I like the idea of somebody local here that we can go to in a VSS has a local area, and I'm not complaining about the information you gave us. I appreciate it. I know a lot more, as I said, about Slayer machines than I probably will ever want to know. That doesn't mean I don't preclude learning about other options when they come, but I don't want us to think that we're going to require you to define every single purchase to us to this extent. I want to be able to ask you to know and have our staff to be able to ask, and our council to be able to ask staff what you think. And I appreciate you asking what Les thought, Mike, because Les is clearly going to be the one that's going to work with it, and he's been there. I like his recommendation since they're so close together.
I had a quick clarification. So the company that they talked about locally here is a asphalt, like a.
It's a. I believe you can ask, but it's a
He's right
concrete
there.
ready mix.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, sure.
So
Sorry.
they're not the machine people, then.
No,
Okay.
they run a ready-mix company here. They bought the
Yeah.
cement plant.
Okay.
One of them.
My name's Michael Motti. I'm a new area manager for 7-Eleven Materials here in the area. We have acquired from Ladd Ready Mix and American Ready Mix here in town. Like Doug said, our home office is out of Stockton, California. More than likely, we're going to be the aggregate supplier that goes into your machine. So I don't want to advertise anything, but hopefully we can talk about that later. But we are a local pit in Canebrake, right by Chimney Peak Road, if you're heading up to Lake Isabella. So we're one of the only 2 aggregate pits in the area. But like I say, we are a sister company to VSS. And if you see Robertson's coming in the road on the main road coming in up to 178, we're the other plant off Graff Road by Teresa's auto body. So.
But if I may ask a question, but in effect, regardless of which company that gets the bid, they're probably going to be buying from you anyway, correct?
Or
Yes.
the other, there's 2 aggregate companies.
Well, we
local.
supply that other company. They're rock and sand. So
Okay, so companies are related, but you'll be selling the same product to either
the same
company.
Jeffrey Reed that he was mentioning in his presentation, he's my boss too.
Okay.
So,
All right. And I mean, thank you, sir. Personally, I understand there's a presence and kind of a connection, but if we're going to be buying the same equipment and the same thing, and you would be supplying either company, I'm not sure that's a major determinant. But I thank you.
thank you, sir.
So my only thoughts are from doing the research and speaking with, I spoke with both Modesto and Bullhead City, the guys operating it, and I know that they both have had the Rainier machine, and they just spoke very highly of that. And so knowing that they've helped cities get up and start going on new programs recently, that makes it seem like a more ideal scenario for us here, because that's what we're trying to repeat is exactly what Modesto and Bullhead did. But that's my thoughts.
Is there any other direction from council? How do you want to handle this? Are we just each making recommendations? We're certainly not voting, are we?
I would like direction from council on which one to purchase.
So maybe
All right, so
someone
let's-
could make a motion to recommend one, and then we'll see if that fails,
All right.
then.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to move for Rayner.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Mayor Breeden?
No.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Hammond?
Aye.
Mr. Maurer?
6 1/2 dozen to me. I'll go aye.
4 ayes, 1 no. Motion carries for Rayner.
Then obviously we don't need another motion. You have your direction. I would like to thank the companies for coming and giving us all that information. I'm truly grateful that you spent all this time and educated me and all of us so much. Okay, the next item.
Can I ask for a couple-minute break so I can use the restroom since I'm next?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Certainly. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break, everybody.
Just a minute. Well, never mind, you already said it. Never mind.
All right, what?
I was going to, never mind, it doesn't matter. You already said it. So I was just going to say maybe you should take Cherie's item, but don't worry about it. Since you've already said let everybody go.
Okay.
I have a question because I just looked at the request for proposal. Did you include a zero requiring the mean time between failures so that you'd be able to assess which of the pieces of equipment would give you the more operational time? I just was dying over there because I hadn't read the proposal, so I couldn't have. I know, Sharon, but I needed to ask you. I know I did.
Okay, the next item is item number 8, a proposed action to award a construction contract to Griffith Construction Company to pave a dirt road on South Sunland Street between East Bowman Road and East Dolphin Avenue in the amount of $703,354. Accept the alternative additive bid. Approve funds for Measure V gas tax fund in the amount of $55,000 and authorize the city manager, Ron Strand, to execute the contract. Okay.
Good
Sir,
evening.
you are Lauren.
Well, Lauren decided to take the week off, and I let him. So
Okay.
that means I have to step up.
Okay, sir.
So good evening again, Mayor Breeden, members of council. I've distributed to you a list of the previous resolutions that have been directly related to this project. So I'd like to talk about them for just a second to give you kind of a history. In September of 2015, Council approved Resolution 1581, which allowed for the Public Works to apply for congestion mitigation air quality grants, CMAC. Yeah, I was trying to say the letters and it didn't sound right. But anyway, grants for several projects, including paving this section of Sunland Street. Now, just a quick item on CMAC. CMAC is basically air quality. So to get one of these grants, you have to provide either keeping dust from getting into the air, which would be paving this dirt road, or you could put in an item possibly that would prevent congestion. So thus reducing the amount of toxins that get into the air from cars that are standing around, that type of thing. Resolution 1720 awarded the planning and design and construction management portion of the project to Quadnoff and set aside $148,660 for the contract. This resolution was approved by a unanimous vote of the previous board to this one. The Resolution 1728, Council approved the program supplement agreement, again in a unanimous vote of this previous Council. When Council approves a program supplement, this is when we enter into a binding contract with the federal, state, and in this case, county governments. And lastly, the City of Ridgecrest Public Works placed Sunland Street resurfacing project out, servicing project out to bid in the summer of 2018. Only one bid was received, and Resolution 18-45 rejected all bids. So that gives you a little bit of background. So the City of Ridgecrest Public Works Department placed the Sunland Street servicing project out to bid for a second time this fall. One of the things that I've noticed in my many years doing this type of a job is that when you put contracts out to bid in the summer, contractors say, well, I'll find some way to fit it in if you pay me enough money. And that's what I believe happened on this particular project. We've put it back out now so that it's winter when they're trying to set up their summer schedule to make sure they have enough work, and the bids came in quite good. So on December 4th, we received and opened three bids. The bids were from Griffith Construction, Bowman Asphalt, and Granite Construction. It states what all the bids were in the staff report, but the lowest base bid was $627,161 by Griffith. The alternate bid was $76,193 for a total bid of $703,354. So after bid review, now this is done by our contractor, and staff is recommending that the bid plus the bid alternate be awarded to the low bidder, Griffith Construction Company. Now let's talk about the bid alternate for just a second. The alternate bid includes the use of high tensile fiber asphalt and glass fiber reinforcement interlayer between the leveling and top courses of asphalt. So in other words, you have the AB put down, the base gravel. You put down a leveling course of asphalt about an inch. You put down the glass mat, which this is called, and then you put more asphalt on top. The asphalt that we're putting on is different as well. They use Kevlar fibers in the asphalt to give it a larger tensile strength. If you think about I'm assuming council likes explanation of why things work the way they work, so I'm going to do that right now. If you take Play-Doh and you try to pull it apart, everybody's done it when they had kids, it's a lot like asphalt. It doesn't have much tensile strength. Play-Doh doesn't have as much compressive strength as asphalt does because it's got the aggregates in it. But the point being, if you put these fibers in it, then it's harder to pull it apart tensily. Well, what causes cracks is the flexion of the asphalt. In other words, cars drive over it and compress it. There's a little bit of imperfections underneath and it compresses and it goes like this. And just like the Play-Doh, if you did this with it, it's going to crack. And cracking is the worst problem there is with asphalt. What the problem is it lets water, not that there's tons of it here, but it still lets water into the base. And that's what causes the deterioration of the quickest deterioration of asphalt. So, the highest tensile strength fiber asphalt provides with asphalt with higher tensile strength and reduces the amount and size of cracks. The glass fiber reinforcement improves the stability of the pavement mat itself, again, which prevents cracking. So both of these items will increase the initial life of the pavement before it needs a preventive maintenance treatment, such as a slurry seal. So it will last longer before we need a slurry seal or anything else like that. The city is receiving $676,119 from CMAQ for their share of the construction, 7% contingency in construction management. The city has already allocated $148,000 in TAB funding that will cover the city's portion of the preliminary engineering and will cover most of the city's portion of construction, contingency, and construction management. The city will need an additional $55,000 to cover our portion of the additive bid, as well as meeting a few shortfalls created by the difference between the original estimates and the final bid prices. Staff recommends taking the additional $55,000 from this year's Measure V funding. This allocation of funds will have no effect on the number of roads that our crew can slurry seal during the spring and fall of 2019. So staff recommends awarding the contract with the alternate bid, authorizing the city manager to execute the contract, and allocating the additional funds for Measure V to allow this contract to proceed.
Thank you, sir. Any comments, questions from council?
I had one. So, last month we did an item related to this project, and so I'm just trying to understand.
Last month we did Dolphin, which is a different project. We did.
I thought that was using.
I'm sorry.
Wasn't that the CMAQ funds? No.
Dolphin is also CMAQ funded.
CMAQ.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not the same project. It's different. In Dolphin, we were only moving forward with the preliminary engineering, and I'm not sure if the construction management was in that one or not. I apologize, but it was a preliminary engineering contract we were moving forward with.
Okay. And so this is for the construction. We've already approved the preliminary engineering and environmental and construction management for this project?
Yep. We have a complete go from Caltrans to build this project.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, just from the public standpoint, because I went and drove this like we did, again, Downs the other day, 15 times, and went 2 streets up and 2 streets back and get back and look at it and see what the deal is. Yet again, you've got a really nice stretch of road going to the right, to one side, and a really nice stretch of road going to the other side, and then you've got this little stretch of dumpy road. Okay, just like Downs, it's sandy, and then it's straight, and it's sandy, and it's dumpy, and oh, by the way, it's right behind Walmart, right? So in that area, so you've got the biggest elephant in town for development and other developments coming in and action in a major, beautiful street, and then it just stops and turns into a little dumpy stretch of road. So without getting into a technical 30-minute slideshow, in my opinion, the road needs to be done. We voted to have it done. I think you've done a very nice job in getting this up to this point, and I think we need to do it and approve it, so thank you.
Other council comments?
I just, like with Dolphin, my concerns here is using the Measure V for new construction, and that's just something that kind of bothers me a little bit. That in general, I like to see Measure V for roads that are already in place that we're fixing. So I was just curious if there was any unimproved road impact fees or anything that could be used instead of Measure V.
There's not any unimproved roads. There's I'm missing the word, Ron. The roads that never were built to the right condition.
Substandard roads.
Substandard roads, but that's for substandard roads, and they're listed very specifically. And then this was not built at all, so it wouldn't, it wouldn't
be substandard.
That's correct. One of the things to remember this year is by not putting forward the contract to do some of the roads earlier this year there's additional money available, and we're planning to obligate all of that money to the projects like this or whatever, and still have enough money to do all of the slurry sill projects that we can fit in.
Okay.
It's a piece of road that is simply dirt. We need to deal with it. And the best way to deal with it is do it. We've already have money. We already have some grant money.
A considerable amount, actually.
Most of it is grant money.
Yeah.
All we got to do is put up, what was it, the 55,000?
Another 55, so it's about 200.
I got that, yeah.
In total, 200 for
Yeah.
Measure V,
Ish.
or is it all?
Now, tab is 148,
Yeah. Okay.
and Measure V is 55.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
I was just going to say the substandard street money is collected in the Ridgecrest Heights area to do their streets, so it's specific to
Okay. Well, and I didn't know if from the Walmart development if there was anything collected.
No, but the one thing to remember on substandard streets, it's not just the ones in that.
There's two areas. I think there's two
but
areas.
yeah, several areas in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll come back to council for a motion.
I'd like to move.
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay. The next item, number 9.
Cherie, if I move this stuff to the middle, can I just leave it here? Because I've got the next item, too.
Just stay there and she can go to the other side.
No, but she has somebody else that needs to speak as well.
Okay, I'm going to read number 9. Review and proposed action to approve recognized obligation payment schedule ROPS 2019 and 20, and administrative budget for fiscal year 2019-20 of the successor agency to the Ridgecrest Redevelopment Agency, and approval of resolution. Please, if you would talk to us.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening.
It probably will be morning shortly.
Right? That's what I'm thinking too. Tonight we are presenting the ROPS for 2019 and 20. We have with us tonight Brett from RSG. He has assisted us with the preparation of the ROPS, and he is going to go over the documents and answer any questions you may have.
So in 2012, redevelopment was dissolved in California, and the City Council elected to be the successor agency to the Ridgecrest Redevelopment Agency. On a yearly basis, the recognized obligation payment schedule, or ROPS, needs to be filed with the Department of Finance each year. So we are doing the ROPS for 19-20 fiscal year and the administrative budget for the successor agency as well. So there's been a few changes in the process of the ROPS. Most notably, in the past there was a local oversight board. This year we are switching to a county oversight board to do any successor agency work within the county for all the successor agencies. And that began July 1st, 2018. So the Oversight Board has the authority to approve the ROPS, make changes, and direct how they should be sent to DOF and everything. On this successor agency ROPS 1920, there is bond debt service payments, fiscal agent fees, continuing disclosure reporting fees, There's an arbitrage report fee, and there's admin cost allowance. There was a bond refunding in 2018, so there's a few changes to line items, but they're essentially the bonds, just refunded bonds. The majority of the ROPS money is for bonds payment or related bonds items. We're requesting about $3.3 million in fiscal year 1920. 2.7 of that is bond debt service payments. $250,000 is for admin allowance costs, and there's a miscellaneous about $7,900 for various bond fees. There's also an enforceable obligation approved by DOF for a wastewater loan repayment, which was borrowed funds from the Wastewater Improvement Fund. Those are subordinate to other ROPS items. So DOF has a specific formula how they decide to allow those funds to be reimbursed. It's called the residual payment. It's basically any tax, property tax dollars in the redevelopment area minus pass-through payments, minus enforceable obligations, and what's left is called residual. According to a cash flow analysis that I did, I do not believe that there's going to be any money available for that payment. But we are requesting it just in case there's more tax dollars than we are anticipating. DOF will deny anything that does not, essentially the number that we need to calculate that payment isn't available till January, and we have to approve this before that comes out. So DOF will have that number in their review in February, and they will determine whether any of that money can be paid back. According to my calculations, we should be able to start paying that loan back in the 2021 fiscal year, and the total loan amount of about $3.1 million should be paid by 29/30. Yes, and basically we're just requesting that you approve this ROPS item, or this ROPS 1920. It's essentially an accounting form that needs to be sent to DOF. First, we need to send it to the County Oversight Board for their approval, but we're requesting your approval first.
I have a question. When you look at the money that comes back from that, virtually it goes to all the other entities, from the Resource Conservation District to the college to the school district, and we get this much of that.
Correct.
Can you tell me approximately what, because you said you don't think we're going to get anything, how are we going to determine how we accomplish this if we don't get anything back? Sure.
So this specifically has to do with this loan repayment.
Right.
So the way it works is you have RPTTF revenue, which is from the project area. Then it gets distributed to all the tax entities, including the city. And then you have these enforceable obligations on the ROPS. And then what's left over is called residual.
Mm-hmm.
So the U.S. formula is essentially the previous fiscal year's residual minus 2012-13 year fiscal year residual divided by 2 is the allowable loan payment. And so this year, it's anticipated that the 12-13 fiscal year's residual is going to be higher than the 18-19. Again, we won't have those numbers till January. But more than likely, there will be no residual. Since the bonds were refunded to lower debt service payments, that's why the residual should be much higher starting in 2021, because they'll be based on the 1920 fiscal year approved obligations. So, does that make sense?
Yes and no, but I understand it just is, what it comes down to is we're going to get nothing out of this, but we have to do it. Is
Madam
that what
Mayor,
you're telling us?
No, what we get is we get our bond debt paid.
Paid.
This is the process for the bond debt. Now, any residual, there is a certain, he is correct, there's a below that threshold, before that wastewater loan will be paid, there is a certain amount of residual that is split up between the taxing entities, which we get 6.8% of. So we will be seeing residual as general fund money for the city. We just won't see any payment going towards that wastewater loan, which is subordinate. Like I said, we anticipate we're not going to see most of that paid back till probably 2037.
Okay.
And this was the money that the state took from us, and then they agreed to give it back, but not in a lump sum like they took it.
Correct. This was the tax allocation bond money, or part of the money that we had to provide to DOF to be able to move forward with the expenditure, the balance of the tab money that we've used for roadways and everything else.
Okay, is there any other council discussion? Is there any public discussion or comment?
I do actually have, since the oversight board has transferred, does that impact this process differently? Do they have to go through approval of this too, or?
Yeah, so the process is a little different. In the past, you could generally get it approved by the successor agency and local oversight board in like the same night. Now it's split up. So in January, we'll be going to the oversight board, the Kern countywide oversight board, and then it's their discretion to approve or deny or change anything.
Okay.
And then it'll get sent to DOF at the February 1st, and then there's a review process. So it's a slightly different process than in years past.
And that shouldn't cause any problems with repaying the wastewater fund in the future either? Okay.
I wouldn't anticipate any issues with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
She already called.
You did?
No, you called for the public already.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked public, there was
Sorry.
none.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Please vote. Five ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, the next item. Okay, proposed action to approve a resolution requesting authorization to record final parcel map 12278. Sir, you're Mr. Culp again.
It's my night, that's all. Lucky you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Breeden, members of council. Again, we bring before you a tentative parcel map 12-278, which is located at the northwest corner of Norma and Reeves. The developer, Daniel Mallory, is requesting authorization to record the final map with your approval. Staff has reviewed the map and finds it in substantial conformance with the approved tentative map, and the city engineer has found it to be satisfactory. Staff recommends council to approve the city manager to sign the improvement agreement, accept the street improvements and offers of dedication, authorize the appropriate people to sign the final parcel map, and direct the city clerk to record the parcel map 12-278 with the county recorder's office.
Okay, discussion or questions from council? Is Dr. Mallory is he here?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have anything you'd like to say? Could you come up and share with us?
I've been working a long time on trying to get this accomplished, and I'm very grateful to have the help of the city in getting that done at the 11th hour here, because I have to record it tomorrow, and so I'm anxious to get it done.
And your approval of this, it meets with all your expectations?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Is there any questions any of us have for Dr. Mallory? Okay. Thank you very much for coming up and sharing that. Okay. Is there any questions on this project to staff? Okay. Is there any public comment? Okay. Seeing none, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. I am asking, with concurrence of the council, will appoint members to the remaining council committees, boards, and commissions. There was 2 we did not have on there last time. I would like to share those with you. The East Kern EDC, I and staff have been representing us on that. And on the Kern EDC, Bill Ferris has been doing an amazing job as our representative, and he has agreed to continue to serve. Those are the 2 we did not have on there. We need to have everyone else fill in their blank. Is everyone ready to do that?
I have one. For the Personnel Commission, Mike Avery's served on it before, and I would like to reappoint him. He's agreed.
So the other person we needed for the Personnel Commission was for Mr. Heyman. Do you have a nominee?
On the Personnel Commission?
Personnel.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we have other openings. Is there any of the council who would like to fill any of these unfilled?
For Measure V, we need a nomination from Mr. Heyman or Mr. Martin.
Mine's coming very soon. I've reached out to 2, I promise. However, I do have somebody for the construction arbitration spot, okay. Todd Rice, TODDRICE, and he'll have an application for you. I'll send it to him tomorrow.
Okay.
So the only other one for me is the Measure V, right, Rika?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you'll have that very shortly.
Okay. Mr.
Okay.
Heyman?
Yes, so on Measure V, I do have a commitment, and I'd like to introduce Eric Steverson. Eric, if you'd like to stand up. He's my appointment for Measure V. Eric's been in the community for years, and I think he'll make a fine committee member, so he did commit to it, and go. Thanks, Eric.
Has he filled out, has he filled out an application yet?
Yeah, you've already filled out your app and everything too, right?
No, I'm going to come and do that tomorrow.
Okay. So, correct.
I know I spoke to one of the members, potential members of the Measure V committee, who said, do you realize we have to get our report out ASAP? So I would encourage all to get it done, because they do not have a long time to make their report. They haven't met for, I think, 3 meetings, maybe more. And so they're most anxious. So if we have any to get in, let's try to get it in. But we do have a quorum. We do have more than 3, so that they can meet and then add as your person comes in.
Just to clarify, my person on construction, his name is David Schweitzer, not Davis.
David, okay.
And then I thought for RACVB, I noticed the blank there. I thought it was Mr. Martin and Mr. Patton.
We said staff. I think, did we identify who?
That's who it had been.
It has been, Mr. Patton.
It has been, yes, but I don't think you guys mentioned him at the last meeting. I could be incorrect.
Oh.
If it's staff, go ahead and put down Mr. Patton. He'll gladly participate.
Okay. So does everybody have everybody in? Are we happy with who we have?
I'll move approval of these.
Wait, excuse me. Sorry, there's a couple we don't have still. Handicap Appeals Board, I need a nomination from Heyman and Maurer.
Yes, I see.
Do you have anybody
I don't have anybody
tonight?
yet.
No.
Same with me. I don't have anyone for that one yet, but I don't see a problem with.
We haven't met in 4 years.
Yeah, they did.
I did have a priority.
They did meet with the ADA.
Oh, did they?
About a couple of years ago. Maybe not even that long
I was
ago.
going to say, because when I got elected, they had said that they hadn't met since U-Haul had gotten elected. So that's 6 years now.
The other one we needed was the Construction Appeals Board, again, Heyman and Maurer. Do you, nothing tonight? Okay.
I move approval of these, subject to Eric and Todd getting their applications into the city clerk.
Second.
Please vote.
And I want to make the point to the public, though, that in these cases with these folks not meeting is a good thing. It's one of these double negatives because that means they only meet as needed if we have a conflict or there's a problem. So this is good that we're not meeting.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, then we will go to item 12. Proposed action to approve a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council authorizing the Kern County Fire Department to use fire impact fees in the amount of $210,000 to purchase a new and upgraded fire patrol vehicle for Ridgecrest Fire Station 74. Mr. Strand?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As you well know, the Kern County Fire Department provides fire protection services within the city of Ridgecrest. They currently have 2 stations, Station 74 and 77. 74 is located on East Coastal Avenue near the Kern County Sheriff's Department, and Station 77 is located on Dolphin Street. They have requested to use fire impact fees to purchase a new fire patrol vehicle for Station 71. And as you know, we collect impact fees to mitigate new development for service growth within the city. So we're asking that, or they're asking to be able to use $210,000 of that funding. We currently have $325,000 in the balance. The current truck that they have is about 17 years old. The new patrol vehicle they're looking has expanded use, has a larger cab to be able to transport more fire personnel. It has an upgraded compartment storage for more emergency equipment, an upgraded water tank. It has a larger waterless foam inductor, and a few other features in it that make it a little bit better for the fire department to respond to emergencies within the community. I do have Deputy Chief David Witt here this evening that can answer some questions if the council has some, but I would recommend that we allow them to use these funds on a reimbursement basis to purchase this vehicle. There is a time constraint with this. If they do get the order in before February, they can save funding because the price of the vehicle is going to go up.
Council, would you like to come up, Deputy Chief, and talk to us at all?
Well, good evening. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Deputy Chief David Witt with your fire department, the Kern County Fire Department. I'm here to answer any questions or elaborate if you choose so.
Okay, is there questions from
I
council?
was surprised. This is a new truck?
This is brand new, yes. This would be a brand new, it's our smaller sized fire engine, if you will, that would go, some of the more valuable uses for this patrol would be on the edge of town and wildland type fires, as well as rescues, medical aid, situations where there's somebody that's trapped or hurt or needs help in an area that our bigger fire engine can't get to. And what this enables us to do is carry 3 people because it's got an extended cab versus a regular cab. It allows us to carry a computer on it that will we'll be able to get to our calls quicker and more efficiently because it's there, gives us information. It would expand our services and being able to effectively get 3 people to the scene in rough areas is a big part of it.
And it's actually got a 250-gallon water tank on it?
Yes. Yeah. So 250-gallon water tank, it's about the same size as the other one. However, it's lighter and it's built more sturdy and effective. And so we're able to, with less weight, get to other areas we wouldn't normally get to and get there quicker.
Do you anticipate fighting fires with this?
Yes. Your crew at Station 74 would be able to take it to fires, to medical aids, to rescues. Okay. Typically now they would leave an engine out on a paved road and take a patrol to a certain location and some of your more common calls. And this would enable them all to get in the same vehicle to go to a fire, rescue, medical aid.
Okay. Is there any other council comments or questions? Is there any public comments or questions?
Okay, we appreciate your support.
I'm
sorry. Oops.
He's going
I
to
didn't
come
see
up and
that.
maybe ask you a question.
Got it. Sorry, sir.
Well, I don't think I have to ask him a question, but I had some questions to start with about why this was coming before the city. And I think I just heard a city manager say that this was impact fees that we're looking at here. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So
we
this
collect.
is
We collect
every new development that goes in. We collect impact fees, right?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, I didn't know we had one. This is what, for fire? We
Correct.
have other ones too, right?
Yes, we have impact fees for streets, drainage, parks, police, and fire.
Okay. So is this going to take the entire impact fund, whatever is in there?
No, we currently have $325,000 in balance, and they're requesting $210,000. I would assume that as new development continues, there may be funding to buy another fire patrol for Station 77 on Dolphin.
Okay.
I mean, I think the effectiveness of these is that if you have a smaller fire or where they need to get someplace a little bit quicker, the patrol is a little bit better, especially if you're going out in the desert and you're fighting either brush fires, you're fighting fence fires, and those sort of things that they would utilize this vehicle for.
Okay. I just was wondering why it was coming before the city, and now I got the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, there was no other public comment. A motion then?
I move approval.
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you for your support.
All right, the next item. I suspect that's why most of you are here. Proposed action to approve a resolution of the successor agency of the Ridgecrest Redevelopment Agency terminating the purchase and sale agreement dated October 20, 2016 between the successor agency and Global Investment Enterprises Ridgecrest LLC. Sir, would you address that for us?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a successor agency item, and it involves a approximately 26.4 acre portion of property known as the Ridgecrest Business Park. It's described in legal description in the purchase and sale agreement that's included with the agenda packet. So the successor agency, as the owner of that property, entered into a purchase and sale agreement with Global Investment Enterprise Ridgecrest LLC. That's an October 2016 agreement, and it provided for the sale of that property with a purchase price of $5.5 million. The closing date was 1 year later, October 2017, but the agreement provided that the buyer could pay certain funds and extend it 1 year, which the buyer did. So the new closing date was the end of October 2018. So that date passed with the buyer not depositing the funds. Under the purchase and sale agreement, if the closing has not occurred for any reason by that closing date, buyer or seller has the power to terminate the agreement. So the resolution before you is to terminate the agreement. I'm available for questions.
Can you tell me whether the escrow was funded at all by the buyer?
The only funds that I know of that was what they deposited in order to extend it 1 year. So no, they didn't make any partial payment, if that's what you're asking. No partial payment was made before the closing date, end of October 2018.
Okay, is there any council Questions or comments? Okay, let's open it to the public. Surely you're all here to say something.
All right, I'll step forward, Dave Matthews.
Thank you, sir.
This is the casino land, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, whatever happened to transparency? You read the title that's published here, and it says nothing about the casino.
Because it
In
was
fact,
a
I didn't
sale
even
of
know these
property.
other parties were involved.
It was a sale of property, sir.
Well, whatever. I still didn't know these other parties were involved. But I say, kill the damn thing. Now, I would just like to point out a couple other things. I talked to Mr. Maurer last Friday, and he said that there was a rumor going around that the BLM had offered the tribe so many 100 acres or something. And I said, well, I'll find out before I come to the meeting next week. And I did. Saturday afternoon, I talked this close to the BLM field manager, who would be the person involved if there was an offer. What he told me was that the tribe, through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, got together with the BLM office in Washington and asked where there would be sites suitable. The local field office has presented some sites that might be suitable. The catch there is that if they decide they want to go there, they have to provide, the BLM has to modify the Desert Protection Act, which covers essentially the zoning of the BLM land. And that would take a while. The only other alternative would be an act of Congress. And you know how that works. Anyway, that is just exactly what it was. There's a rumor. And also people are talking about possibility of going to the county. Well, the county has its own zoning laws too, and processes and whatnot. And also we got a groundwater problem. So I don't think we're going to see anything in the vicinity in a very near future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Wayne Porter. I'm also pastor of China Lake Baptist Church here in town. And Madam Mayor and council members, thank you for this opportunity. When all this started here in our city a few years ago, I stood right here and I spoke as a pastor. And I think since that time, of course, there's been a lot of division in our city here about this. I know that people are for the casino. Some people are not for the casino. And there's been all kinds of statistics given for both sides. But I would just like, again, to urge the council to vote to terminate this. I think, as a pastor, that, and again, I know there's differences of opinion on this, but my opinion is, as a pastor, and I know the situation with the finances, how it would bring in finances here, but I said back a couple of years ago, I said, do we want to, and this was, again, my opinion, do we want to risk the displeasure of God on our city for the amount of money that we're going to get? And in my opinion, all the things that come with the casino are not worth it for our city. And so I would just like to urge you as council members to vote to terminate this deal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chip Holloway. I have been asked to read a letter on behalf of Eric Bruin, the CEO of Desert Valleys Credit Union, which I'm the president of. He was unable to be here tonight, so I'm going to read his letter. Honorable council members, our organization is celebrating the holidays this evening, so I have been asked to speak on behalf of Desert Valleys Federal Credit Union. While the credit union offers no opinion on the issue of terminating the escrow for the land purchase, we do have some important comments regarding the land included in the escrow. Specifically, if the land sale should be terminated, we want to clearly state our interest in negotiating for the purchase of APN 033-07028, which is the 1.4 acres of bare land directly east of our existing property. Our business is flourishing and we are growing at a pace which makes future parking and building needs important to us. We approached the city on numerous occasions prior to the land sale in regards to the property and were unable to reach an effective negotiation. We are willing to negotiate in good faith and hopefully continue to grow our business in partnership with the city of Ridgecrest. Thank you for your time. Eric Bruin, CEO of Desert Valleys Federal Credit Union. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chip, did you say that's the property right north of the credit union?
East.
East of the credit union.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello again, Shirley Kirkpatrick. I was here several months ago, and I just want to reiterate, no casino, and I just, with all the other people had mentioned the reasons why, and I just don't. I've been here since about 1973, and we don't need that kind of ills in this small town. So that's all I got to say. Just no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Pat Ferris. I've been thinking about this since this was coming up again, and it appears that this might be an excellent time for us to bring healing to a situation that's been extremely divisive. I've probably been here longer than most people and watched this community develop and form its culture. And as you look back, you see there are some things that really set this community apart. And an important part of that is family-oriented. And that's the thing that's concerned so many of us. And I have a good reason to be concerned about family. I have 32 grandchildren and 64 great-grandchildren. And a lot of my family live here and expect to be their home and continue rearing their children here, and they're invested in so many ways. And so I feel that I kind of owe it to myself and to the people that I've watched be the builders of this community to speak this part of the message. In the early 90s, we had an issue come up about bringing a prison here. Some of you may remember that. That was brought, however, to a vote, which I believe this should have been. And I think that would have given us a much better feel for how the community, how the community really stood on this. And it's been frustrating, confusing, and there's been a lot of deception. And that undermines us more than we can imagine. And we do have some serious challenges about the water. And if we could get this behind us, and now we're already seeing opportunities where we could have developers. Now, I remember when Eric Bruin brought that to our attention way early on, that he had tried to, they kept saying, there's no way to sell that land. It's been there all those years and no buyers. But he brought to our attention that at that time that he had money. He had investors and was ready to go on developing a piece of that property, but he couldn't get a response from the city. And then at the same time, I do know also of another person, I won't name his name now, but it's documented, who would try to buy property, a piece of that property. So there's a lot of ill feeling. And we're talking about the money and the jobs. And some people have felt that that was just the answer to bring jobs to this community. And I remember when Gary Parsons told me, he said, I've never thought it would bring 180 jobs. He said it'll bring about half that many, but my feeling has been. And I thought, well, that's not what we've been sold. And that was another thing about the prison, that we were told that would bring jobs. But when the community, the people and who were invested in this community and who cared about its future weighed that, you have to be careful about selling your soul for a mess of pottage, and there's a lot of history for that. And there are so many positive, good things that we could do. And then, of course, one of the things to me was just the fact of having it at the gate with the Navy's, one of the Navy's premier bases. It just was, I just feel like it was not a fit. And if it works out to have a casino someplace else, everybody has the right to live their lives like they want to, but it was thrown in our face, and it was pushed down our throats, and we didn't feel good. And I think it would be a great time for us to consider this and weigh the values, not about money, but about a future that's going to bring a higher good. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
My name is William Lavender, and I would just like to echo what Pastor Porter said. I don't think we need a den of iniquity brought in our city here, which will bring in the drunks and the prostitutes and all that stuff hanging up and down our streets, and to say the least, to bring the wrath of God down on us for having it in the first place. So I recommend we kill it. Kill it.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Skip Gorman. Peggy, I'm sorry, I should have been lined up.
You're fine.
I've been ambivalent about the casino these last 2 years until I felt that somebody had weaponized the agenda unfairly against George Golson, who's an honorable man. I'd like to know the details, if and when you're ready to lean forward and, as Dave said, offer a little more transparency. Why? I'd like to know. I'm not asking you right now. You don't have to answer. Why did Global Investment Enterprise not be forthcoming with the money at the proper time? What happened? Who discouraged this entire thing?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Please.
All I can tell you is that would be a question for Global Investment. I don't have any intel on that.
Shucks, I was hoping that wouldn't be the answer. My friends, I thank you.
Thank you, Skip. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Okay.
My name is Will Blackburn. I've been in the Valley for 47 years now, and I'm pretty proud of that base out there. I worked out there for many, many years, and the things that we did, it's the only thing I can liken it to is Los Alamos back in World War II. And it does not need to be defiled with something like a casino, in my opinion, that it's fun. You can go over to Las Vegas and spend some money, a lot of money, real quick, where you used to be able to play half the night and enjoy it like you would a steak and a movie. But they're making money, and a lot of people who are paying that money that they're making really can't afford to lose it. And I am against it for that reason only. It's not moral with me, although it borders on morality, because I am so ashamed of having the prospect of that so close to our Navy base there. If there were another place that it could be, then I wouldn't care so much. But I don't think we need it, and I would urge you to respect the opinions of a lot of people and just kill this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other public comment? Okay, the item on the agenda is, as our attorney said, to approve the termination of the agreement. And one of the things that we are saying is that the escrow was not funded, so therefore we are going to have a motion, either approve or not approve that proposition, whatever, that motion.
I motion that we terminate the agreement.
I second the motion.
Please vote. Five ayes, the motion carries.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is our committee reports. I believe most of them have not met. Does anyone, without going through all of them, has any of you met? Okay, then.
Even Kern Cog is dark this month.
Yeah. I do know the RACBB met. Wallace?
Yes, we did. Did you want a quick report on that?
Please.
All right. I'll make this quickly. Doug advised that we purchased from Poster Garden a new booth. We'll have 2 new skins for display purposes. We've submitted a grant application for $10,000 from the Kern Board of Trade. We've got our reports coming in right now for the full year. They'll be generated very soon. The GoRidgeCrest.com website is now up to date, and they will be monitoring that for content. We had a petroglyph overview. We had approximately 20,000 in attendance. The new venue on Los Flores was a success. The farmers market joined the Petroglyph Festival for the first time, and we had many, many different new venues, so it worked quite well. November the 7th and 8th, we have the California Contracts Acquisition Procurements Expo, CCAP, and they prepare small businesses to compete for nearly $3 billion in government contracts. December the 3rd, RACBB had its annual operations overview for the year. And December the 16th, they attended the 24th Annual California On Location show at the Beverly Hilton. And actually, we made recommendations for 6 or 7 categories. And many of those actually were folks that I made the joke. I said, we need to keep nominating them so they'll keep coming back here. And actually, that technique works pretty well, so we continue to keep nominating. December the 17th, they were at the Film Liaisons in California, Flicks, the State Board of Directors meeting. October, there was 4 productions. Inyakern Airport for October, there was 1 filming. Total community spend for October, $524,571. November, there were 3 productions. At the Inyakern Airport, in November, there was 1 production for filming. So the total community spend for November was $1,864,103.
Thank you. Is there any other committees, boards, or commissions that anyone has to report on? All right, then we will go to the city manager's report.
Yeah, just one item to report. We did have our Prop 1 kickoff meeting for the Groundwater Authority yesterday down in Covina. We met with our grant coordinator. We worked on the particulars of how to file our first reimbursement which we can do in January. So it looks like we're on track with that. So we'll be submitting our first reimbursement request, I believe, in the amount of $360,000, and then we'll be seeking reimbursement quarterly after that. So that will assist greatly with our cash flow for the Groundwater Authority, that on top of our pumping fee. That's my report.
Did you have anything to report on the bonds, the CalPERS?
Yes, the bonds were issued. They were closed. Do plan to come back, I believe, either in January or February, do a full report with our consultant.
What rate did they get?
I believe it was the mid 4%. Yeah, it turned out fairly well.
Okay, future agenda items?
I just have one, Mayor. Just to remind you that January 2nd, we're going to be dark. So we will meet January 16th will be our next meeting.
Okay. January 10th, there's going to be a East Kern EDC meeting here in Ridgecrest, and we will be giving you more information as staff develops the agenda. Mayor and council comments. Anybody?
I had a couple. I just wanted to say thank you to our police department. They did the Shop with a Cop this weekend and had over 50 youth that they were able to take shopping, and were able to actually buy them almost $200 worth of gifts, $175 each, which is a pretty amazing and astounding. They also have coming up Movie with a Cop this weekend. 2 different movies that kids can send an email if they'd like to participate, and they'll be able to go see the movie for free with the police. Parents can have the opportunity to go out and shop, and they get a soda and popcorn and all that too. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, please check out their Facebook page. And then
the first one is Spider-Man for the kids 5 to 12. And then we're taking the teenagers out at night from 11 to 1:30, and that one will be the new Bumblebee. And then the transit bus, we were able to raise the money for the transit is going to take kids home that need, so that we make sure they get back to their houses.
Nice. Thank you.
I attended that last year. I had more fun, and I got great pictures of little kids looking up at our cops who are such role models for them, and the pictures and the joy and watching the kids talk to them with big eyes. Amazing. You did a good job, and my thanks to all the officers who participated with all of the events, but thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to also say Merry Christmas to all the staff, and thank you for all the work that you've done this year, and we'll see you next year.
Wallace?
No, I second that. Merry Christmas to everybody. It's going to be a good 2019. I know it is. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, Scott?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Mike?
I had a little speech to make tonight, but I think I'm going to defer it. Merry Christmas.
Okay, I do the same. Merry Christmas. We are going back into closed session, so I will adjourn the meeting for now.
For this one?
Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for talking tonight. It just reinforces my. Well, thank you. Well.
700.
Okay.
So I